I know this probably isn't saying much, but so far this seems to be the most successful HOH reign of the season, so I am just thankful for that. Ava continues to be headstrong and independent and pushing her own agenda. Meanwhile, the house is kind of starting to crumble all around. I do have a few things to talk about today, including the results of the veto competition. But before I get into all that, of course, I'm going to ask if you would please hit that subscribe button below. Also, this is totally optional, but it would mean the world if you would consider making a donation to my channel. Doing these recaps is a lot of fun, but it also takes a lot of time and a lot of energy out of me. Plus, no pressure, but today is my birthday and I'm choosing it to spend it here recapping with y'all, but no worries, I wouldn't have it any other way. If you aren't able to donate, then no worries, because likes, comments, and subscribes warm my heart all the same. Now, let's get started. So when we last left off, Ava was the HOH and she was thinking about making a huge move and putting Keanu, Zach, and Vince on the block. Now, Ava had decided all of this on her own. She didn't really want to talk to her allies, didn't want to meet with people, didn't even want to give people a heads up that she'd be putting them on the block. So when the feeds came back on after nominations, Zach, Vince, and Keanu were all indeed blindsided. Now, I love the fact that she can confidently make a good decision on her own because Mickey and Lauren could never. But you know, there's a reason why people do one-on-ones and why they tell people that they're pawns and all that stuff. Because Ava is just starting to frustrate people a little bit with how mysterious and secluded she's being.
I just seen the selfishness come out immediately, and I knew if she's that selfish about just people in her room and her wine, and I didn't want none of her watching, but I'm just saying, if I seen that in just that shit, I knew she was going to be selfish in the fucking noms. She didn't talk to nobody about who she was going to nominate. Why is she not talking game? Right? Somebody said that my HOH got taken away from me because they didn't know where I was, because I wasn't playing the game.
She's not really wanting to talk game with anybody or hold any meetings outside of her core group. In fact, she's just kind of been spending a lot of time alone upstairs, and it doesn't really even seem like she wants people to be in her HOH room like that. And look, I'm an only child, so I get it. I don't really like all that noise or all those people crowding around me either. It's just not really how this game works. People do one-on-ones for a reason, so that they can get a good read on the house and make deals for themselves and ensure that they are going to be in a better spot the next week. I mean, don't get me wrong, I think Ava's nominations are fine, and like I said earlier, she is doing the best job out of all the HOHs so far to me, but it's just leaving everybody confused and in the dark about what she's doing probably wasn't the best move. Like, Keanu is really the only one who understands why he's nominated. He knows that it's because of that little argument they got into over the prompt, so he's not even mad about it. Ava and Keanu actually end up talking this all out and they hug about it. Y'all know Keanu always has to seal every conversation he has with a hug. Now it's even to the point where Keanu is starting to grow on her a lot, and by the end of the week, Ava wants him to leave less and less. Vince and Zach are an entirely different story though. They are both just generally confused as to why Ava would even put them up there in the first place, because in their minds, they've been cool with Ava. This could be because they've been aligned with her in that bond alliance earlier in the game, but at this point nowadays, they don't even really talk game like that.
We did have an alliance that did kind of fall apart.
For sure.
And frankly, once it fell apart, I feel like maybe there wasn't too much talk afterwards. Maybe made me feel like I'm hearing he's saying that I'm kind of a question mark. He's not really talking to me that much.
I think that they always saw her as one of the weaker players in the game that they could easily control, which is why she was the one they went to when they were trying to flip that vote back on Will and everything. But you know what? Their charm didn't work back then, and it's not going to work now either. So overall right now, this whole little trio of Zach, Vince, and Morgan are definitely not in a good spot, and they're a little confused as to why they're all being clocked, even though these three literally will like stay up all night talking game in one room together, making it so obvious. They're even starting to get suspicious that maybe Mickey or Rachel is the true mastermind behind all of this, because they can't believe that Ava is doing this on her own. Now, Mickey needs to be a little careful here because really she's the only one being like disloyal because she just made that melting pot alliance thing with Zach, Vinny, and Morgan literally a few days ago. And now Mickey just like immediately wants them gone, which is another indicator that maybe she should have put somebody like Vince up on the block instead of Jimmy last week. But you know, it's too late for all that and she ain't gonna listen anyway. I will give Mickey credit because she has been trying to fix this perception of her and she's been trying to work to get Morgan back on her side. And so far it seems to be working pretty well.
Like, I really genuinely do not feel that Mickey is against either you or Zach. Yeah. She even said she was not expecting Zach to go in there. And the only thing that Ava gave her is that she said that she was going to make a big move. And it was probably going to be relatively surprising.
Morgan's relationship with Zach and Vince seems to be falling a little bit too as she's starting to get more information about what they've been doing in the game. Like she has found out that they were in that whole Bond alliance thing without her and they never told her about that, which should definitely be setting off alarm bells in her head.
Is there anything else that you or Zach are part of or were offered or are in, like, that doesn't? Because honestly, all I have is the melting pot. That's it. That's all I have. I have nothing else.
We were offered something with, ironically, Ava. Ava, Will, Adrian, Lauren, Zach, and then they pulled me. They said they wanted to create something.
On top of all that, Vince is still lying to Morgan about that Adrian flip vote too. And I'm pretty sure Morgan knows this. So this is just like further cementing all that distrust. And on top of all of this, Morgan is now starting to get suspicious that Zach and Vince would choose Lauren over her in the game, which honestly, they probably would. So that is just more bad news for her. So right now there is just all this drama circulating around the house in general, but of course it's all going to depend on what happens with the veto. The veto competition ended up being a luxury comp this week with prizes and punishments and all that fun stuff handed out. Ava won $5,000. Will won a vacation to London. All the boys on the block, Keanu, Zach, and Vince, all got punishments, so that really sucks. But in the end, it is actually Katherine who ends up winning the power of veto, which is crazy considering the fact that she just does not talk game like that. Now, she could use this power as an opportunity to gain some traction in the game, you know, maybe make a few deals, maybe make a few allies. But of course, that would require her to be an active game player, which we all know she isn't. If anybody, she would probably use it on Vince, but even then, that's not really likely. So as of right now, the nominations are looking locked in. But of course, there is still time for things to change, and people are definitely going to be trying to convince her otherwise.
I mean, I don't want to use it, obviously. I was just going to explain like more, but I'm not going to use it on anybody, obviously. But like, the justification that like, you know, it's not because of like alignment with like other people or this or that.
Keanu is already pushing to see if she would use it on him, but I really don't think that's likely at all. Keanu, interestingly enough, also just looks to be like the safest person on the block in general, which is absolutely wild to say. I think it's because Zach and Vince are just too tempting on that block together. So Keanu's old enemies are now wanting him to stay, like people like Mickey and Rachel and Ashley. Now, I still wouldn't get too hopeful about Keanu's game because let's be honest, he's still Keanu. He was threatening to not use the veto on himself if he won earlier this week. And he's also been threatening to throw the blockbuster comp too because he's just that confident. So yeah, Keanu is still very much cracked. Don't worry. So as of right now, Ava isn't expecting to have to put up another replacement nominee, but she is definitely prepared to. She does still want to keep Vince on the block. She just doesn't want to tell Katherine all this because she doesn't trust her with all this information. She thinks she could run it back to Vinny.
Because here's the thing. If she is working with Vinny, what the fuck is me campaigning gonna do? Except give her information.
Right. It's going to figure itself out.
It's gonna figure itself out.
And today is what, Saturday?
Ava would still much rather have Keanu stay in the game over everybody, but at the end of the day, she's really cool with any of them leaving because, surprise, surprise, she didn't put up any of her actual allies. I know, it is a novel idea in this house. So since it's looking like the veto is not going to get used, Ava probably won't have to nominate 2 people. But I still think that everybody's going to be in for a blindside on Monday when Zach uses that power. Once he is off the block, Morgan is likely going to go up in his place, which means that at the end of the week, we are probably going to see Vince, Keanu, and Morgan stuck on the block. And in that scenario, as things stand right now, Vince looks like he'd be the most in danger, but things can still and will shift. So that's pretty much all I have for today. Again, I'm still going to be looking for people to push Katherine to use that veto. Right now, there's really not too much movement happening there, but there's still plenty of time for things to change. If Ava does have to nominate a second person, it's looking likely that it would be Lauren. There's a small possibility that it could be Ashley, but we're just going to keep our eye on that. Of course, I want to know, what do you think of Ava's HOH reign so far? How is she doing? Let me know in the comments below. Of course, I will be back here sometime on Monday to officially let you know what's happening with the nominations. But until then, bye.